is the team that's saying, okay, this is in a known state and we're ready for production. The truth is it is not in a known state through our QA processes. Those are black box tests that are doing a certain number of control paths with a certain permutation of variables going in compared to what the total possible control paths are within a system, the total possible data dependencies within a system. It's impossible to get even close to that total possible permutations with testing. You'd have to test forever.
Even with automated testing.
Even with automated
There's too many
testing.
combinations.
And I don't know what the percentage of, you can track if a line of code was executed, which is that's a huge improvement over just testing and did we execute it or not. But lines of code react differently depending on the data, depending on where in the control flow that line of code was executed from. So for a QA person, they're always the first to get hit. When there's a production problem, it always comes back and whacks the QA manager.
So how do we affect that? What does phase change do to change the dynamics?
It's from the black box to the open clear box. So we actually have very specific data on all the paths and all the dependencies through all the user interaction. There's just part of having software as a database or an application as a database is all the possible things that could happen are in there for us to see. And we can run that through our artificial intelligence reasoning processes to both say, well, this is exactly what we know, and then also say to a 99% level, we know this, to 99.99%, we know that. That's exactly what a QA person wants to know. That's what the risk management person wants to know.
You can basically dial
Yeah.
the level of confidence.
Right.
Precisely.
Yeah, according to your risk, right? So risk management and QA could work together and go, this is low risk, so this is the level of diligence we need to do. This one's high risk. We really need to nail.
And we're in essence using machine learning to help with that process.
Right. Yeah. And we can even compare it against other changes that were made. Yeah.
I remember some of the battles in a software delivery cycle between QA would find a bug and they'd document it, log it into the system, and they would include, the amount of data that they could include that they knew that they tested with one of the data situations. This combination of data resulted in this bug, and they'd log it, and then it'd get to a developer, and a developer would go, I can't reproduce it. And then they'd throw it back to the QA person. Right. But with our software, our platform, you could put in the data and execute the path. We could identify the path and hand that to the developer and end the back and forth ping pong match.
So many of those discussions.
And if there were a question between of the requirement, you could bring the analyst in and they could help resolve it, knowing in this path it went this way, versus if I use the same path with a little bit of different data, it has different behavior.
When a big company, that round trip can take days.
Exactly.
And we're talking about bringing it down to just a precise statement of this is what's wrong, and the system even knows which lines of code could possibly do it.
Right.
Yes, it's just like the Google model is collecting big data about everything, right? We're collecting data about all the applications. Data is king, knowledge is king. You have the data, you can solve problems, you can move forward.